What's going on, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. As you join me on a rather stiflingly warm evening ride home, we are going to try and dispel some of the rumours about winglets on motorcycles. So if that is of interest to you and you'd like to know more, grab yourselves a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and let us get into the video. So ladies and gents, how are we all doing? I hope you're doing well. And as the title of the video suggests, we are going to try and dispel some of the rumours and some of the myths surrounding motorcycle winglets. Now, as you guys may or may not know, I'm not a huge fan of winglets, but I do know they have their place and have their purpose, and that is what we're going to try and dissect and discuss. So first things first, what are winglets? In layman's terms, they basically provide downforce to the front of a motorcycle to allow the front wheel to stay closer, if not planted to the floor, so that under heavy acceleration it provides extra downforce, not just for acceleration but also for cornering and heavy braking. So that's what winglets are. What are they made of? They can be made of a variety of different materials. Some are plastic, some are carbon fibre, some are TPU, which is thermopolyurethane, i.e. plastic. They come in all different shapes and sizes and styles, but in essence they all do the same thing, which is provide extra downforce, like I've just said, under heavy acceleration, heavy braking, cornering and corner exit. Now the controversial thing is, are they worth having on road bikes? Personally speaking, no. I actually think having winglets on a road bike is a complete waste of time, considering you've got traffic, you've got traffic lights, you've got pedestrians to worry about, you've also got nowhere where you can open your bike up to the point where it's actually making use of the extra downforce. So in all fairness, I think they are pointless for street bikes. Now there are going to be people out there that are going to differ with my opinion, and that's fine. You know, everyone's entitled to an opinion, and I'm not going to say otherwise. But what I will say is that in terms of making the most out of these aerodynamic advancements, shall we say, you're not really going to make any huge leap forward in terms of street riding, unless of course you're going 100 miles an hour absolutely everywhere. Now in all fairness, like I've already touched upon, there are going to be some bikes or some people or some manufacturers that will say, you know, winglets are the future, they are the way to go. And yeah, if you're thrashing your bike around, like I said, doing 100 miles an hour absolutely everywhere, then fine, they're worth having on your bike. But take riding on London streets, for example. I'm doing 22 miles an hour. The UK roads, the way they're laid out and how badly they're maintained, trying to use a full 200 bhp motorcycle or 220 bhp motorcycle like the Panigale V4, like the Aprilia RSV 1100 factory, like the BMW M1000RR. All those bikes, they've got the technology, but for street riding it's too much. It really is. Because what I've noticed personally is that a lot of street riders rely on their electronics to make them look like heroes. And okay, that's my personal opinion, and some people might like it, some might not. Now I don't want to cause an argument with anyone over it, but the point I'm trying to make is that I think winglets are not really worth it for street bikes. Anyway, like I said, that's just my opinion. Where the winglets do come into their own, however, is when it comes to track riding or racing. Now with the extra downforce, if I remember rightly off the top of my head, with the winglets attached to a bike compared to not attached to a bike, I believe they offer somewhere in the region of an extra 20 to 30 kilos of downforce, and that in itself is a big difference. That could be the difference between a really good lap time or a really bad lap time. Again, on the streets, probably not worth it. Can you make the use of them on the streets? I don't think you can, because like I said, when it comes to actually riding, whether it be in London or the outskirts of Surrey or out in the middle of nowhere, there's always going to be some kind of speed limit, and the only place you're really going to make the most of these winglets is on the racetrack. So I do understand the way that Honda, Ducati, Aprilia, I think Yamaha even do it to a degree, and all the other big brands that actually use winglets on their bikes, not just in domestic racing like BSB and whatnot, but also World Superbikes and even MotoGP. I get where the technologies come from, and I get the thought process behind it, but my argument is and maintains to be you are not going to make the most of these winglets on the street. Now, some people are definitely going to disagree with that, and I know they are. And like I said, everyone is entitled to an opinion, and I'm more than happy to listen to it. Which is why, you know, like I've said before, and I'll say again, my channel's not designed to be argumentative. I like this dickhead on the moped who thinks right to get up my arse. When it comes to these winglets, yes, okay, they look cool. Yes, they do serve a purpose. But like I've already said, I personally think they do not need to be on road-going bikes. If you were racing or riding in a, you know, like doing the Isle of Man, for example, yeah, I get it. I 100% get it. Or if you're riding on track every weekend or every other weekend, or you race professionally, I get having the winglets, because it is an advantage. It does help keep the front wheel down and keep everything together. And I'm not disputing their effectiveness, because I dare say if it weren't for the winglets on bikes like the Ducatis, like the Aprilias, you know, all the bikes have got the big V4 motors. Without those aerodynamic assistances, or should I say aerodynamic aids, you'd be struggling to keep the front wheel down. You'd be struggling to get the bike around a corner. You know, there'll be a lot of things that are going to make your life a lot more difficult just because of the amount of power these bikes have. Okay, my bike has only got, what, 180 bhp. But that's more than enough to make you stand up and focus, do you know what I mean? And the fact that there's bikes up there with 200 plus, 210, 215, 220, 235 even some bikes have. No, it's scary. It really is scary how much power these modern bikes have. I had a conversation with someone at work earlier today, one of my customers, first thing in the morning, and we must have spent a good 45 minutes chatting about different bikes, different CCs, different engine configurations, different styles. And he's only been riding for, or only had been riding, should I say, for about 2 or 3 years. And compared to my 20 odd years of riding, that's, you know, baby age. Do you know what I mean? But we were able to have a in-depth discussion without any argument, without anyone getting angry or upset, and we both came to the same sort of conclusion that modern superbikes, with all their electronics, a lot of riders actually lean on the electronics more than actually riding the bike properly, if that makes any sense. But anyway, motorcycle electrics and what I call nanny aids, that's for another video. But with regards to these winglets, I personally think, like I've already said, for street riding, not necessary. If you're riding on track every weekend, then yeah, definitely. If you were racing, even, yeah, fine, cool. If you're racing, I get it. But for street riding, no point. You know, winglets do work. If you look at the Ducati's MotoGP bikes, in fact all MotoGP bikes these days, they all have winglets. You look at a lot of world superbikes, they also have winglets as standard because of the amount of power that they put out. And yes, okay, in world superbikes you do have the option of using things like traction control and wheelie control and slide control and all the rest of it. And that's what makes it different compared to BSB. You can't use those options, or you can't use those electronic aids, shall we say. But there's one thing I have noticed between world superbikes and British superbikes. There's a lot less bikes with winglets in British superbikes than there is in world superbikes. Now I don't know whether that's because the world superbike spec bikes are that much more powerful or whatever it is, but that's just what I've noticed. But in a nutshell, I do believe for the road, winglets are a waste of time. For track or racing, yes, definitely they are worth their weight in gold. Would I put a set of winglets on the R1 or my 1098? No, I really wouldn't. Why? Because I think on bikes of this age, they look ridiculous. But again, that's just my personal preference. I have seen people on YouTube put winglets on, you know, Suzuki GSX-R 125s. If you want to do that, then that's up to you. Do you know what I mean? But me personally, for street use, complete and utter waste of time. So to dispel the myths of whether they're good or not, for the street, I don't think they are. For the track, they definitely are. Are they good for aerodynamics? Yes, they certainly are. For downforce, yes, they definitely are. For change of direction, I can't tell, because I've never had a bike with winglets. But from what I've seen, if you watch World Superbikes, especially if you watch Alvaro Bautista, they seem to work a dream for him. But in a nutshell, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I'm afraid. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it and you got something out of it. If you've got any questions about the gear I use or the bikes that I ride, please feel free to put it in the comments box down below, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But for now, this is Lee, aka Rollin Thunder, saying look after yourselves, look after each other, stay safe on the roads, be aware of COVID-19, be safe, be happy, look after yourselves, look after each other, enjoy your bikes, enjoy the weather, and as always, adios!